How good is that? I love it. Yeah, so welcome to the Shit Vegan Show. Another episode. And by the end of this, there'll be another episode in the books. Don't really have much planned for tonight because you'll notice that Holly's not here. Holly's not here because she had a bit of a... She's not feeling too well at the moment, had a bit of an emergency. Nothing too crazy. She'll keep in touch. So hopefully she's watching right now on the stream from wherever you are. But yeah, let's get the show on the road. Like I said, as I'm learning how to get the show on the road, I'm learning how to document the process and get everything sorted at the same time. So just sort of learning as I go. Hopefully I'll be able to work out a bit of a, like a schedule and like a format on what to do and what to say and what to think about and what to talk about. So, yeah, apart from having guests on, it's not very easy to do a show like this. So what Holly and I will do is we'll talk to each other throughout the week. We'll text each other, message each other, throw out ideas about things to talk about. And I'll write them down on the board when it's not got the sign on there. And then, we discuss it. So we've got a few things, in the pipeline. But if you're here and you're early and you're ready to tune in, I see we've got a couple of viewers. This is a live stream. Eventually it'll go down to Spotify if we sort of get a bit of a structure going and things like that. So if you're here, check this out. Oops, wrong button. What do you think? Got a bit of a store going. Nothing has been purchased yet. It's in the cards. There's a few things that need to happen prior to that. So this is the shitvegans.bigcartel.com. There are a few other solutions on ways of promoting and selling items, which might come more so in the future. I've looked at things like Shopify. Thanks, Jake, for pointing that out to me. Jake Lascala, my mate. Yeah, so obviously the classic Shit Vegans tee. What you see on classic OG. Don't worry about the pricing. It's just a guide. I've got the Shit Vegans tee classic black. Spent some time sort of designing it. It's not a very hard design, but, And I've also got the Shit Vegans classic tee safe for work. So if you notice, that's got the poop emoji. So I'll bring that up in the background here and I'll show you what the image looks like. It'll look better in person, Images. Shit Vegans. Where's the safe for work? Logos. So that there is the logo. What do you think? If you're here, drop us a line. Tell us some things. We got Maddie Enson, Arabs, Casino Thanks, and another TTV viewer. I think some of them are bots, but yeah. What do you think? What do you think of the logo? What do you think of the design? It's all happening. Things are going to pick up. And then we got the same one, but black. So yeah, what do you think? Who'd go out and rock one of these shirts? Yeah, so one of the main things that I was going to talk about tonight is, which a lot of people actually who are considering veganism and considering moving towards, I guess, a plant-based diet, is what do I eat? What do I eat? What are the foods that I eat? And I tend to focus solely on the ethics, solely on the ethical message of what we're trying to put out there. So, with me, I see it as as if I'm arguing against racism. I see speciesism as the same, right? But that's not quite the same mentality that is the main narrative in society. It's not the main mentality that and ideas that most people hold. So that's so I find myself just arguing really more so for the the ethics behind it. I don't really talk about any of the other things. But people say a lot about what sort of food can I eat? What isn't veganism expensive? I can't be vegan. I don't make enough money. It's a privilege. And a lot of people say that to me, and they say I can't afford all the vegan foods and all the mock meats and all the cheeses and all the ice creams and all that sort of stuff. It's like, well, where I'm coming from, obviously, if you're speaking on behalf of the animals and you don't want to contribute to their suffering and things like that, and you want to also maintain your wallet, some of the cheapest foods on the planet are vegan. Rice, beans, lentils, chickpeas, potatoes, fruits and vegetables, mostly fruits and vegetables. You can soak and, or rehydrate all your own sort of fruits and vegetables and things like that. All your beans and lentils and chickpeas and whatnot. And, as long as for me, it's like you keep it in the back of your mind, Groods 94, Chloe, hey, thanks for jumping in. Just going live, just talking shit on the Shit Vegan Show. Just doing a thing. What do you think? Do you want to give me some feedback? Do I sound all right? Is everything all sort of going well and everything like that? Your first time chat from you as well, so thanks for dropping by. It's good. Just sort of call it the Shit Vegan Show because I just don't stop talking, really. So one of the things that I was saying was food, like I'm a very plain basic eater, and people say, Nick, what about the recipes and things like that? I'm like, well, the ethics should make you think about it yourself and not have someone else think about it for you. However, I just eat plain and basic usually. When I'm in the habit of cooking my own meals, which I have been in the past and I've sort of lost that habit a bit, but I need to get back into it. When I'm in the habit of cooking and, eating my own meals, it's I tend to use a lot of like potatoes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, greens and all that sort of stuff, right? I'll actually bring up my Instagram page and I will show... Looks good, man. Been checking out a few of your videos. Good communication and conversation. Thanks, Chloe. Appreciate it. Goes a long way. And it really does. I'm not even kidding. The comments from the people that view and feedback that I get really helps me want to keep doing it, So, appreciate it heaps. So I'll bring up my Instagram, my own personal one, where I... do this here. So if you're viewing on Twitch and or YouTube, when I upload this to YouTube, you'll see on the screen here is a whole bunch of things that, like I used to cook and eat this all the time, all this sort of stuff. It's just whole food stuff, like this here, cheap as well, you obviously can avoid avocado and avoid, all the little cucumbers and tomatoes, which do, carry a bit of more of a price tag, but very cheap. Potatoes, that's lentils, kidney beans, and corn. Just a bit of seasoning. There's some green capsicum. There's some rocket with some avocado, some cucumbers, tomatoes, alfalfa, and radish. Get all that in, and then this one is some quinoa, some beetroot from a jar. It's like a pickled beetroot. Some broccolis, some Brussels sprouts, some chickpeas and lentils with some sweet potato and potato with cucumber, avocado and rocket as well. Just get the bag of the leafy greens and things like that. This one here, same sort of deal. I think, that's pretty much exactly the same, just stacked a bit differently on the plate. Very much the same. It's easy. This one's got carrots and red capsicum, more tomatoes. Chloe, how was the vegan festival? It was awesome. Like every year, it's amazing. Did you end up going? I'm not sure if I saw you there. If you did, but I tend to see everyone I know. Yeah, it was awesome. Lots of wicked speakers, lots of awesome food, lots of people. It's kind of like a safe haven for vegans, you know. Like every year you go there and you're not the minority, you're the majority, and it's awesome. It's actually, I feel really sad afterwards because then I'm stepping back into the real world, you know. Oh, yes, that's right. I was working with the Ambos. That's really awesome. Thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing. Check out the cup, shit vegans. Got the thing back there, shit vegans. Shirt, shit vegans. Just all the food and things like that. What did I eat at the vegan festival? We'll get to that. But yeah, moving next. So that was that one there. Yeah, this one. There's some cauliflower. There's some beetroot. But I boiled the beetroot with the potatoes and it like stained the potatoes. Some broccolini, radish, you know, all that sort of stuff. No worries, Chloe. Anytime. No, and actually I appreciate it. So yeah, you know, Brussels sprouts and, you know, easy, cheap. You know, don't really have to do much to it. The beautiful thing about Whole Foods is raw and, you know, obviously plant-based. Whole Foods plant-based. You can add some nuts, some seeds, you know, some anything else to get those fats. You know, it's a lot of protein. You know, people say, oh, where do you get your protein from? Like, that is plenty enough protein. Look at all this. Quinoa is so high in protein. You know, chickpeas and lentils, so high in protein. You know, let's look at the comparison to protein in chickpeas. Why is that doing that? Hang on. Let me do this first. And then, so protein in chickpeas and compare it to that of steak, right? So cow flesh. Protein in steak. So 100 grams and 100 grams. Yeah, cool. Check this out. So, I mean, oops, wrong button again. So it's not necessarily the same, but 100 grams of chickpeas gives you 19 grams of protein, right? And 100 grams of steak gives you 25 grams of protein. And, you know, like we'll change that to, let's say, kidney beans, 24 grams of protein. So 100 grams of kidney beans is almost the same as 100 grams of steak, you know. And with the kidney beans, there's obviously no cholesterol, no saturated fat, no, you know, any of the other things that are bad for it, are bad within it, you know. And yeah, so it's like, you know, where do you get your protein from? There's protein in plants. People say to me, how do I build muscle on a vegan diet? Well, like I don't build muscle, so I don't know how to exactly. But if you're speaking from a place of like, where do I get my protein from? You just think about this. Where does the animal get their protein from? Obviously, the food that they eat. All protein originates from plants. We can fact check that. And all protein originates from plants. So why get our why use a middleman to get our protein when we can just go straight to the source ourselves, right? And that's one of the other things. So yeah, all the foods and, you know, easy. There's some rice, there's some bean shoots. You know, made it look a bit nicer. There's some mung beans in there and sprouted lentils. Broccolini, all this sort of stuff. So I was really scared of food at the time. And, you know, just roast up some potatoes. Like, I don't even use oil. Like, I avoid oil as much as possible. Obviously, I eat food with oil in it. But when I'm cooking, I avoid it. Sometimes I use a little bit if I'm feeling spicy and adventurous. But, I avoid it as much as possible. But, yeah, you can buy, like a bag of, like, dried chickpeas for, like, a kilo's worth, like $3. I don't even know, probably even cheaper. And, you know, you get a cup out of it. you soak it overnight, and then you boil them up. Take a long time to boil, but you got chickpeas. Like cheap as, and lots of protein. That's just chickpeas. That is. I have a lot of lentils. I have a lot of black beans. I have a lot of kidney beans. All that sort of stuff. Yeah. So then when people say, "Oh, but what about the like the mock meats and the ice creams and the pizzas and all that sort of stuff?" Well yeah, it's the same as if you weren't eating vegan. Like obviously you buy your meat and your cheese and your milk and your eggs and all that sort of stuff, and that costs more, right? Just like because it's a luxury item. Your mock meats like Tofurkey and your some of the others like Beyond Meats and Impossible's coming to Australia. Funky Fields, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's a little bit up there in price, but one of the reasons why it's so up there in price at the moment is because there's not enough demand for it. When there becomes more demand, the price will come down. It's just, I guess, basic economics, really. You think about why you can get $2 2 litres of milk. I don't even know if that's how much it is anymore because I haven't bought cow's milk in a long time. You think about why it's so cheap to buy, and I'm thinking maybe it's because the government subsidies, they're keeping the farmers in business by helping out. Thanks for stopping by, Chloe. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for following along, and thanks for dropping comments. It really helps with the algorithms, and it really helps, grow the show. So tell your friends that used to work with this guy, and now he's trying to do something else. Oh, lots going on. So maybe I don't know if it's going to be real or not, but possibly some big announcements coming in the next week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. The next show might be a big show. Because if all, I don't know if I should say goes to plan, but if all goes ahead in whatever way it goes, then you'll be hearing a lot more about my life and about the direction in which I want it to go. So at the moment, this is just a little bit of a hobby until hopefully it picks up, and then we can sort of take it from there. So it's just one of those things. Shit vegans, by the way. That's what's up. Would anyone like to buy some merch? Make sure you plug it. If I'm around, then I'll drop in. Sweet. Sounds like a plan. I like it. But yeah, so everyone, if you're following, if you're viewing, get across to our Instagram and our YouTube. Eventually, I want to try and get 1,000 subs on YouTube. That way, I can stream to YouTube, straight to YouTube. And then the show can be on YouTube, and I don't have to use Twitch as the medium, which I don't have a problem with, because Twitch is actually amazing. Twitch is probably the best server for streaming. And not a lot of people do like vegan content. So, So back to the thing. So you're buying like, say, 2 Beyond patties from Beyond Meat, and you're paying $12 for 2. You can get them on special. I once saw them in Coles. I don't buy them and eat them very often because I tend to just eat more fruits and veg sort of stuff. One of the things that I really like to eat are falafels. I like, the falafel bites and all the different sort of like zucchini, lentil, chickpea sort of bites and potato bites and all that sort of stuff. I like that. That's some of the good shit. It's on special at Coles right now. I went over there and bought 3 different packs. So then after this, I'm going to make some wraps and then smash out some wraps. And I don't know, maybe smash some other stuff and fucking, take it from there. Link in the description. Yeah. So it's a thing. So anyone's here, want to drop a comment, ask us a question. Got a few viewers here. Ask us some things. Let's get the show on the road. Anyone have any questions? We had the Anonymous for the Voiceless Cube of Truth on the weekend over here in Adelaide. It was the International Cube Day. First time in a long time. Oh, Actually, no, I went to the last one prior to that. First one in a long time, going to the Cube of Truth here in Adelaide. And yeah, it was a very eventful cube. Very eventful. So, started off normal, a bit of rain. Adelaide is turned into Melbourne when it comes to weather. Bit of rain, sort of came off a bit, sort of dried up a bit. Then the cube got going, and we had it was just like a shit show. People were just all over the place. There was heaps going on. As soon as we rocked up, there was a preacher preaching his word. Good on him. The passion and the power behind these preachers, just to have that's unreal, And people might just disregard what the preachers say, the wrath of God and this and that, blah, 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 blah. But, if you actually spend time and don't just dismiss them because of what they're doing and listen to them, I don't know, you might find some sort of enlightenment. I'm not sure. I mean, I, for one, I'm not a religious person, but I'll listen to him. I'll hear what he has to say and then make up my mind based on that. And I think that's the beautiful thing about speech, and the beautiful thing about free speech is that we can actually go out there and we can actually do these things. In some other countries, we can't actually do these things. I can't do this show and speak my mind and speak what I want to say. So it's, just one of those things. So, but then again, if I were to condemn the preacher guy for preaching the word of the Lord, right, or of his Lord, and then go out and do the Cube of Truth, then, I'm hypocritical. So it's, And, I didn't even hold that position prior. I just thought, good on him. Good on him for using that passion and that drive to speak for what he has to speak about. And I guess I, for one, was listening. I didn't take anything on board because I'm not a religious person. I'm not convinced. So, So the cube sort of went on, and we started the cube up, and everything was all good to go. We had 4 people in the cube, and it was the smallest International Cube Day that we've had for the last few years. We had a whole bunch of people come up to us and give us a lot of shit. We copped a lot of slack from, I guess, mostly non-vegans. The climate rally, Extinction Rebellion, with their climate march came through. So the cube was in the middle of the mall, and the rally went and walked around us. That was interesting. And I was standing there, like they're screaming their stuff, and they're getting in between our demonstration. I'm screaming, well, what can I do here to try and change some minds? So I started screaming out myself. If you're not vegan, you don't care about our environment. If you're not vegan, you don't care about our environment. If you're not vegan, you don't care about our environment. And rattling off some water and land usage sort of, stats and figures and things like that. Cowspiracy.com/facts. Just one of those things. I was screaming that out. And so from there, that was making a noise. From there, so some people walk up to me and they're like, but I'm vegan. I'm like, awesome. That means my words don't apply to you. Keep doing what you're doing. And that probably happened maybe 2 or 3 times. And they're like, oh, yeah, I love what you're doing. I'm like, cheers, brother. Like, just doing the best that I can, using my voice to speak up for my message and, the things that I want to say and whatnot. So then, they walked, around the cube, and it was really cool. Then we had a whole bunch of, kids come up to us, get in our faces, talking shit on veganism and, but then I also had a really lovely conversation with a man in a wheelchair, and he wheeled himself up to the cube, and he was sort of sitting there, and he was chatting, and I sort of saw him there, and I walked up beside him, and I was like, hey mate, how are you? Not too bad, thanks. You've seen this sort of stuff before? And what we were watching, just as we were watching it, what happened was the grinding of the male baby chicks in the egg industry. And for those of you who are following along and don't know what happens, are just here because they're seeing vegan content. One of the reasons why I'm vegan, the main reason why I'm vegan is because of animals and animal rights and things like that. And for a hen to produce eggs, obviously she needs to be a she because the boys can't produce eggs. So they the fertilized eggs are sent from the parent farms, and then they're sent into the hatchery where they're stored and incubated over 30 days. And then they're separated from the males. The males and the females are separated. The males are put onto a conveyor belt and sent into a what's called a macerator. Another word for it is an industrial blender. So the males get blended up alive on their first day of life. Usually when they're on the conveyor belt, there's the eggs still, sort of there, and they've come out of the eggs and things like that. And so on their first day of life, they get destroyed. And the females, they then go to have their beaks seared off in order to minimize damages to the other hens and maximize profits and things like that. And then, so this is for all free range and organic and caged, and all these farms, their lives all start out at a hatchery. And there's footage from one of the hatcheries in Bendigo, eggsexposed.com. People might say that one instance doesn't paint the whole instance. Well, you might be right, but if it happens once in the same industry, I don't think that's a very good industry to be supporting. I just don't think that. Okay? I don't think that. And if what I'm saying resonates with you, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. It's up to you to decide what you do with your own bodies and with your own minds and all of that sort of stuff. So, so the eggs, I was talking to the guy about the eggs and all that sort of stuff. And then we ended up getting on the topic of sort of going around the cube, walking around the cube, and let me bring this down, just lowering my desk. Yeah, just talking about things at the cube. We're walking around and we were just discussing other instances of animal agriculture. And the other instances obviously were pig farming, dairy farming, farming for meat and all that sort of stuff. And so we had a really meaningful conversation, and he was very receptive and he was very interested to hear more. And basically all I was doing was just describing what was happening on the screens. That's it. Just describing it, using words to say what's actually happening, because it's enough to see it, but it's something different having it described to you. Because hearing it is almost as powerful as seeing it. And when they're both together, you can have some quite profound experiences. And after the conversation, I felt so moved by his reaction to it, because he didn't realize what it was that he was supporting with his money. He told me a story about how he's from Fiji, and he had some family members who are coming across from Fiji to work in slaughterhouses, and he was telling me stories about how some of his family members were doing that type of stuff, and they quit after their first day, because it's an unreal. It would be an unreal experience being employed, and your sole purpose for being employed is to put knives into animals' throats and hang them up and have them bleed out. Like, so vulnerable, so innocent, so just sad. It's a sad existence. Being a pig in a factory farm, or a chicken in a factory farm, or that sort of stuff. And so I was explaining the process of dairy and using other contexts in order to help the conversation flow and help it being understood. So what I usually say to people in the streets is, do you know much about dairy? No. Okay, well, come have a look at this TV. This is showing what happens in dairy. And then I usually start the conversation by saying, well, for dairy, obviously it's milk, right? So I say, all right, so how does a dog produce milk? And they usually come back and they say, for their babies. So, all right, so why does a cat produce milk? For their babies. Why does a human produce milk? For their babies. To get the line of thinking. We're all in line. the consistent logic, the consistent reasoning. And then I throw this one out. Why does a cow produce milk? And because they're already thinking consistently, to feed their babies. Oh, I thought they just produce milk because they eat grass. No, that's what you're taught in school, because the dairy industry gets into the school with the curriculum and teaches people to believe that. This guy that I was talking to, he said that his mum was like I don't know, like something. He said his mum, who's like 80 years old or whatever, said once she found that out, she's like, I didn't know this. I've been eating this stuff for all my life and I didn't know this. And it was just, you know. Northpaw, Cully is here for a listen while I cook some tea, bruh. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cully, old mate. Guy from the Traps back in the day, hardcore, Adelaide. Is it 618? That's what's up. Used to front the band called Settle for Nothing. Used to smash the shows. Used to get fucking hit in the face a lot. And yeah, cool story. Guy's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks or whenever he's free. And yeah, we're going to talk about his story. So old mate has been through some rough times and has actually just, yeah, had a lot of tough times. I don't really want to bring anything out until we speak about it. So yeah, so Carly will be on the show. Mad lad. Let's do it soon, man. Sounds good. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. Really appreciate it. Get over to YouTube as well. YouTube's, I want to get over there because all these streams go up on YouTube too. Yeah, nah, bro. Yeah, man, just hard times, man. Hard times. You know how it is. And yeah, just fucking getting it on. But yeah, Cube of Truth on the weekend. We were just chatting to people and stuff like that. And yeah, bro. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, man. No shit. I'll let you say all the things that you need to say. That's what it's for. So I have you on here. I ask you questions, and then you share what you believe it's okay to share. And it can be anything, absolutely anything. So yeah, man, get on. Let's do it. You can sit right here if you're loud. Or I can bring all the shit around to you and we can do it from there. One of the issues might be actually, oh shit. Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. My computer, my laptop can't quite carry the whole streaming setup, but my computer can, and it's portable. I can bring the whole setup. That'll do. Yeah, no spoilers, man. I want to try and keep it like low-key funny as well, you know, just fucking doing a thing and yeah, try and get some laughs out of it too. Yeah, back to my story. Yeah, so talking about like this guy and his, you know, he was saying about his mum and dairy and speaking about like talking to people in the streets and lining up the thinking, right? And they say, wow, I didn't know that, you know, cows produce milk for their babies. So then I follow up with another question. All right, well, do you know what happens to their babies? Say, no. I say, well, if they're a girl, they obviously are the only ones that can produce milk. So they then, you know, sent to grow up to be a milk machine just like their mothers. And, you know, for the animal to be pregnant, obviously, that they produce their milk for their young, meaning that they just gave birth, therefore they are lactating. And what that means is obviously there's no baby for the milk to be given to. So the dairy industry collects the milk and sells it in supermarkets to humans. And think about this. Do you think it's weird to drink the breast milk of your mum? Now, think about this. Your mum giving you some of her breast milk. Do you think that's weird? Could be the oven, bro. It's got a bit of a beeping noise. Oh, there it is. You're out, bro. Sorry, man. Oh yeah, sometimes I knock it with my hip. The oven in here was making a bit of a beep. But yeah, so the was it the dairy? So obviously, the cows, lactating, and so your mum. That's right, your mum. Just think about this, right? If your mum came up to you and gave you a glass of her milk that came from her, would you drink it? No, because it's weird. But why is it weird? Have you ever considered that? Have you ever considered why drinking the breast milk from your own mum after infancy is not weird? Oh, sorry, is weird, but drinking the breast milk from a cow in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 30s, whatever, is not weird. Like, but when you think of it that way, it's like, you're right. I'd make her drink it first. Exactly. I mean, having said that, Holly and I were talking about it on the show last week. It was a lady who used her own breast milk to create like human ice cream, like human milk ice cream. If she likes it, then I'll give it a go. Yeah, I mean, it's when we sort of discuss it and we think about it and sort of put ourselves in the position of being able to take a shot. We're like, I'll try it. Like I would. Like, why not? It's not. What's the problem? There's nothing wrong with it. They're consenting. They're giving it to you voluntarily. So it's all right. Why not? Put it in your coffee. My mate Shane, he was saying he's had a bit because him and his partner had just had a baby, and he's like, oh, I tried it. I'm like, cool, man. Like I wasn't weirded out by it. Cool, man. What was it like? Oh, it wasn't bad. And then I sort of put myself in the position of receiving it and drinking it, and my throat sort of closed up like it was rejecting it instantly. Like I was thinking about ugh. But then I think about the same thing with cow's milk, and I don't get that same feeling, but that's really weird because, it's not really weird when you think about it like this. It's because I was conditioned from an early age to drink that stuff. I was given it in my Weet-Bix in the morning. I was eating it through ice cream. I was eating cheese all growing up. It's just stuff that you grow up with, you learn to live with, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, crazy, right? So then I was talking to this guy, in the mall, and it was actually a really serious conversation. But back to the story. So lining up, the thinking and all that sort of stuff, and then I follow up. What happens to the boys? What happens to the girls? Obviously, they grow up the same way, become a milk machine like their mum. What happens to the boys? Oh, I don't know. They usually, most of the time, they are killed within 24 hours. By what's called blunt force trauma, a hammer on the head or a bullet between the eyes, all that sort of stuff. Horrific. I wouldn't want that done to me or my children. I wouldn't want any of that. So, yeah, it was that sort of stuff. And that, let's check this out. Humane killing unwanted calves. From the Business Queensland, suss this out. So that's just straight up Google, humane killing unwanted calves, humane killing of unwanted calves. So we'll read through this. This is legit. Like, this is the government, business.queensland.gov.au, and this would be standard, right? So humane killing of unwanted calves. If you are a beef or dairy producer, you may be required to humanely kill calves with health problems that have little or no commercial value, or from farms in areas that do not have access to suitable markets may be humanely killed. So farms in areas that do not have access to suitable markets, that's what everyone can really fall back on, right? You have an obligation to ensure that the killing method used is humane and performed as soon as possible after birth. Calves must be handled calmly and quietly and subjected to unnecessary distress, and not subjected to unnecessary stress, fear, or pain. There are 3 recommended methods of euthanizing calves: with a firearm, with a captive bolt pistol immediately followed by bleeding out, lethal injection. There is also an acceptable alternative method for premature and day-old calves. So obviously this goes through the methods of shooting, captive bolt, bleeding out, all this sort of stuff. But this one here is hidden behind another link. alternative method for premature and day-old calves. Now, I'm not going to show any footage of this, but you can understand what this allows. Blunt trauma and bleeding out. This method must only be used for premature calves requiring immediate euthanasia or calves less than 24 hours old. Or calves less than 24 hours old. Not even a day old. It requires a single firm blow to the front of the pole, see position B in diagram, with a heavy blunt instrument. A short-handled club hammer, approximately 1.2 kilograms, with a striking face of 4 by 4 centimeters is suitable. The blow must be strong enough to fracture the skull and rapidly render the animal unconscious. The calf must be bled out immediately following the blow. To ensure a humane death, you may only use this technique if you are sufficiently skilled. If you are not confident in your ability to deliver a blow of sufficient force, you must use another method. Situations where the calf requires more than one blow to the head are unacceptable, and in bleeding out and things like that. So that is the humane method of killing unwanted or day-old baby calves, right? Day-old. Oh, I hate saying that and sharing that. It's yeah. So when you're buying dairy, you're supporting this, and that's the truth about it, right? It may not be the whole thing, may not blah, blah. They might go for veal. Yeah, they might. But even still, veal, I've seen images of calves grown up for veal being shackled by the neck in their cages and not able to move because they can't work out their muscles because their muscles will get too strong, and that's not what veal should be like. So there's that. So talking about that, so that part of the conversation was out of the way. The males, that's what happens to the males generally. And then so I've seen lots of footage of it. It's crazy shit. Seeing it with your own eyes, just unreal, and not looking away. Using your eyes to see it. It causes this to happen. Makes me want to do things to help bridge the gap between vegans and non-vegans and have conversations, have rational, informed discussions. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an academic. I'm none of this. I'm just a guy who goes through life making up his own mind based on things that he believes is right and wrong. And that's it. That's how I got to this. So, yeah, and that's what's up with that. So then, I sort of explained the Josh like diesels. Veal started off being stillborn or deaths in early stages of life, but has become a thing they farm specifically. Oh, there you go. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah. Hey, Josh likes diesels. We spoke a little while ago. You came on the stream not that long ago, right? Thanks for stopping by again, my friend. Really appreciate it. Thanks for listening too. Goes a long way. Yeah, who else we got? Everyone else, drop a line. Tell us some things. So I was talking about then moving on to the girls. Obviously, I explained that the process of what's called artificial insemination. So artificial insemination obviously is where we are inseminating the female by making her pregnant. Now, I use terms to sort of put the human context on it, but still in the context of how the cows are treated, right? Yeah, been pretty good, bro. Just doing working and doing shit vegans and getting all this shit going. So thanks for stopping by, bro. Really appreciate it. The subject today is, Holly's not here, but the subject today is talking about the Cube of Truth just now. Just earlier in the show, if you want to go back and check it out on YouTube, I was talking about food, things we can eat, and I was also talking about a plug for the shirts that I'm eventually, wrong button again, that I'm eventually going to be hooking up with. So these are my shirt designs, but you can check that out later. So how that went was I explain the process of artificial insemination. So a male, or the farmer grabs a fist, gets his fist, puts his fist into the anus of the cow to grab hold of her cervix, and he's got a long metal rod, which is like a pipette that's full of bull semen that has been masturbated from a bull. You can buy it from places and all that sort of shit. And so they grab the cervix, get the pipette, and they use that to sort of line it up and then insert the bull semen into the vagina of the cow, and she's been artificially inseminated. Now, I explain that process, the way when I'm out in the streets, I explain that process to the people, and then I follow up with some questions. Say, well, okay, so if that were done to a human, what do you think that would be called? And then they usually say the word. And it's not me saying what it is or the word, it's them coming up with the word themselves, right? Hey, I've got Cert 3 in animal horticulture, no joke. So what I'm saying to you resonates, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I guess, I'm not sure if you're a vegan, bro, but if you're not, cool. Thanks for coming and thanks for checking in. You're hearing it from another perspective, right? Like, I don't think people are bad for this. It's just a thing that once, I guess, if we run it through a different context in our brains and like the human context or the dog context or the cat context or whatever, we realize, I wouldn't like this to be done to me or a human or a cow or whatever. Yeah, cool, bro. You're not vegan. That's awesome, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. So my thinking on it is I look at it as not something that I want to participate in with my money. And it's a shame that there's people that have livelihoods tied in with the industry because my money's not supporting their livelihoods anymore. But I would support a transition from dairy farming to plant farming or, chickpea farming or, all this sort of stuff. You converting the land and keeping the animals alive until they pass on or send them to sanctuaries and things like that. It's IVF when it's done to humans. Yeah, in a sense. But the only difference is the IVF thing, good point, is the consent. So if it's obviously humans are consenting and they're paying for it. So that obviously we can't. People will say, but the cows, they don't know what we're doing to them. They don't understand. They don't feel it and all that sort of stuff. And so it's like, well, for me, it's like, why don't we give them the benefit of the doubt? I wouldn't want someone to put a fist in my bum, I'm in between. I don't like mass production. I saw a lot of inhumane stuff, but sustainable is okay to me. And that's, if that's okay to you, then that's okay to you. One of the things, like, I don't want to alienate my viewers and my followers and things like that, but if I were to put my own sort of take on what you said is like the way I sort of see things, and I know you may disagree, but that's okay. I like to talk about it and like to be open about it. Where I would disagree on that is, but sustainable is okay to me. I would flip it and say, well, is it okay to the victims? And that's where I sort of argue from. So I see them as victims of a system that is designed to maximize profits for the farmer, really. And it's I use a lot of emotive words a lot of other times, but because I want to maintain this platform and I want to keep this platform as a sort of an education sort of point of view. I could really be saying the words that I say other times, like this and that and blah, blah, blah. And, it's what I really think. And I really think what I'm saying here too. But it's my platform. I don't want to ruin it. I want to keep people coming back. So, and so you're from, are you from the States, Josh? I remember our conversation a little while ago. You were chatting to me while I was live. Oh man, I can't remember. Oh, well, it was a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, to those who are listening on YouTube or even back here on Twitch, I'm talking to the streamers. The viewers on the stream. Yeah, it's good. This is one of the things that I want to do with the platform, which is, talk to people on the stream and interact and have people come on and, So Josh, wherever you're from, man, if you want to come on and have a chat to me one day, feel free. Feel free. I'd love to have a chat to you. I'm trying to work on my. Oh, you're from Adelaide too. Really? I thought you're from the States, man. Oh no, that was just another bloke that I was talking to. Oh, you're from Adelaide too, man. Righto. Yeah, right. Oh shit. Sorry, man. But yeah, so got a few minutes left. Going to keep this show short, sharp, and shiny. Try to keep it to an hour today because I've got a few things going on after this. Again, Holly's not here because she's come ill. She's having some issues, and she's had to take the show off this time. So God bless Holly if you're into God, which I'm not really into God, but each their own. But yeah, so I sort of explain the process. Back to the story. So I explain the process, and they just say the word, and then it's sort of like, how do you feel about this and that and rah, rah, rah. And a lot of people, like, I try to have like really quick conversations, 5-minute window just to sort of open their minds up quickly, deliver some information, and then they can walk away. So then I can move on to the next person in the streets, right? So when we do the the Cube of Truth and things like that. And yeah, so that's sort of how that went on the weekend. And yeah. So I've got a few people coming in. Got a few viewers here. So we've had, where are we? Couple of peeps. But yeah, in the next couple of weeks or the next few months or whatever, when he's free, we having Cully. Going to have a chat to him. Another shit vegan who's got a really interesting story. Really, really interesting story. And it's a story that makes you think there's no fucking excuse to not be a vegan in this world. So yeah, what did he... Oh, Josh, more comments which I missed. A good one not many people know about is lamb mulesing. Have you seen? I've heard of the term. I'm totally against it. A good one to show people. Yeah. Awesome. Mulesing. I've heard the term. Is that where they cut the tails off, or they sort of cut sort of around where the tail is, and slice some of the skin there to make it sort of, I don't know. Is that what it is? Yeah, there's a few terms. Like, obviously, I know that the sheep get their tails cut off to stop fly strike. Around the tail, they remove skin. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it's it's hard because when we're coming from a position of saying, look, we think that that's actually wrong. We don't think that should be happening anymore. The immediate reaction is, are you like, you can't tell me what I'm doing, all this sort of shit. And it's like, well, no, we're just trying to speak up for them, hear their screams. We just, we think that they have feelings and that they have moral value and they should be entered into our circle of moral, compassion, and kindness. It's very cruel. It was part of my job. That stuff I hate. And it's just done because of mass production. Yeah, totally, man. Did you ever do it yourself, man? No judgment here, man. Like, it's just the system that we're brought up in, I see lots of videos and things on the internet of a lot of farmers sort of teaching their children to... Is this scented? Oh, it's not. My nips are here. It's not even scented. Whatever. Yeah, teaching their children about these things, teaching their children that the animals have to, be put to sleep and that they can't name the next one, and, it gets easier and easier and easier as you go, and it just sort of becomes a part of your mentality growing up. Oh, it's okay. And I wasn't a person who's ever killed an animal. Never. And, so I guess it's easier for me to switch and think, oh shit, those are some industries that I don't want to participate in, Yeah, I used to all the stage. I was 16, my first job. Yeah, wow, man. Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever considered, the vegan alternatives. Have you ever considered like being vegan yourself? You know, my morals on this: I can hunt to eat, but I wouldn't. But it wouldn't be to excess, and as long as I don't trick the animal with trusting me, I am nature, so it's natural. Okay. Yeah, I mean, see, there's a lot of nuances to that sort of those sorts of things, man. Like for me, if I'm sort of, I go onto Facebook and I like debate people, and I'm quite harsh on Facebook because it's such a hostile environment. Whereas something like this, it's a lot more calmer, it's a lot more kinder, it's a lot more sort of approachable, and a lot more sort of, you know, we're able to discuss our views and our differences, and whatever view comes out on top, we can adopt, right? And, you know, my morals on this: I can hunt to eat, but it wouldn't be to excess, and as long as I don't trick the animal with trusting me, I am nature, so it's natural. Okay, so my moral on this is I can hunt to eat. Okay, so right, so where I would come back on that point personally, like this is just where I like how I think about it. Personally, I wouldn't hunt myself because I can't. I'm not going to hunt myself. I myself would not hunt, just myself, because I got access to a supermarket, bro. Like I can just walk into a supermarket and be like, hey, here's some chickpeas, some bananas, some lentils, some ice cream, you know, vegan stuff, you know. But yeah, you know, I mean, obviously, yeah, I can agree. It's more sustainable. It's more ethical than the current systems. But in this society that we live in, we don't need it, man. We don't need it. But, you know, I'm not judging you. I don't think you're a bad person. None of that. But yeah, from there. So wouldn't be to excess as long as I don't trick the animal with trusting me. Exactly. You know, like I refer to sometimes when I go out on Facebook, in order to drive a conversation, I'll think, all right, who's my post or my thought targeting today? Fishermen, hunters, dairy farmers, you know, all this sort of stuff, having a conversation and all that sort of stuff. And you know, just to drive the conversation, I'll say a really angry thing. I'll say, oh, hunters are cowards, you know, this blah, 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 to reel them into the conversation. Like I'm talking about the whole, not individuals. So it doesn't apply to you there, Josh. But yeah, all right. Oh, Cully dropped a big comment here. Let me read it. Here's a thought that just popped into my head. Hungry Jacks do the vegan burger, etc. I'm sure I could just Google this question, but food for thought. If one was to purchase a vegan meal at Hungry Jacks, would that money contribute to the slaughter and torture of animals, or do you reckon they have a separate little kitty they help keep separate, which doesn't fund towards purchasing more beef products? Well, so good question. So the thing is, as a vegan, if we're worried about if we're supporting a corporation and buying the vegan product from that corporation, where that money is going to be going, if we were to apply that consistently, we wouldn't be able to go to fill up our cars at a service station. We wouldn't be able to go and to the supermarket because they all, you know, buy and support animal products and farmers and things like that. It's all about practicality. But the thing is, if vegans or people demand more plant-based products will come onto the menus. More plant-based products will come into the shops for us to be able to buy and support and things like that. So if people come to you and they say, oh, you're not vegan enough, or you're not a vegan because you shop at Coles, they sell animal products. You come back at them and be like, well, I'm trying my best, man. Trying my best, you know. I'm trying to live practically in a society that is not kind to animals, you know. And I'm buying the vegan products. I'm living by my own morals and my standards. You know, it's a system that we're you know, living in. And yeah. So Josh, back to what I was saying with that. Don't trick the animal into trusting me. Good, awesome. Yeah, don't do that because that would suck. You know, like that's using their own intelligence against them, and you know, it's a hard thing. I am nature, so it's natural. That's the point that I wanted to get to, right? So, so what I refer to, I use that when speaking to people, like in the streets and like actually debating people in more of a hostile environment. You know, I refer to what's called appeal to nature, which is the logical fallacy. Basically, what happens in nature means it's okay for me to do now. Lots of things happen in nature, man. Lions, they will sometimes eat their young. And imagine this, right? If basically animals eat other animals, therefore I can eat other animals. I'm like, okay, well, if you want to live by that logic and live by it consistently, then animals also rape other animals. You know what I mean? Like, they have sex with whoever they want, whenever they want. And if we're using animals eat other animals to justify eating animals now, that same reasoning and consistent logic means that I can use that same logic to do what other animals do to other animals and do that now to humans, right? Obviously, I don't think that, but it's just an inconsistency in the thinking, right? So what happens in nature means it's okay. Lots of bad things happen in nature, man. Like when you see your dogs, they greet each other by sniffing each other's buttholes, right? When I meet you, Josh, don't be surprised if I come down and sniff your butthole to meet you. Because it's natural, man. What happens in nature? You know what I mean, man? Like, not having to go or anything, but that's just the reasoning behind it and the logic and, no, but I mean, in biology, the herbivore, omnivore, carnivore, and you can tell by how the digestive system works. Absolutely, man. Yes, totally. Herbivores, their digestive tracts was like it's so much more times the size of the length of their torso. And carnivores, right? Their jaws have the teeth, rip and swallow. Whereas humans, our teeth are like this. We can grind in a grinding motion. Same as, monkeys and, horses and, all the other herbivores. Whereas like lions and tigers, their teeth are, long and sharp. See, these aren't canines, bro. These can hardly get into an apple, man. But yeah, our digestive tracts are really long too. Suss it, bro. Suss it. Like, have a look at it. I think humans are herbivores, and I think that's backed up. Having said that, like, I'm not a scientist and I can't recall the fact, so it's worth looking up, dude. But yeah, but that's it. That's the hour show. Gone a little bit over, but that's okay. Thanks everyone for stopping by, checking out the Shit Vegan Show. I have a little in some docos. That's why I bring it up. Yeah, sweet, dude. Check out What the Health on Netflix. What the Health, WHATTHE Health. Check out Cowspiracy on Netflix too. They go into like the health aspect of plant-based diet and animal products and how it affects our health. And Cowspiracy, made by the same people, goes into the environmental implications of animal agriculture and things like that. So, but yeah. That's another show in the books. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Thanks everyone for chilling out. Thanks everyone for coming. Before you go, why can't you eat chicken eggs? Well, I'll indulge. It's not that I can't. I choose not to. And I choose not to because they're not meant for me, man. They're meant to produce chickens. Think of a human. Why does a human produce an egg inside her ovaries? Obviously, they're mammals. So the baby can be fertilized inside the egg. And then after a month, they menstruate the egg disappears. Natural chickens, if they weren't selectively bred over these last couple of 100 years, would be producing up to 17 eggs a year. But now they're producing something like 330. It's so taxing on their bodies, but it's just a money-making thing, man. Like, chickens without roosters have unfertilized eggs. Exactly. That's exactly right. But humans without males have unfertilized eggs too. It's little cholesterol bombs, man. Mainly to the fact that they farm chickens in horrible conditions. Yeah, the mass production thing being an issue too. Like backyard eggs too. If we want to move to that, I think keeping chickens for what they produce for you, that mentality is, I think, the wrong mentality to have, because we're only looking at them for what they can produce us. They're not for us. You know what I mean? Why waste the protein? Well, I'll tell you what happens on sanctuaries, man. So Forever Farm, Freedom Hill, all the animal sanctuaries where all the animals are, living their lives out in freedom and in sanctuary, they actually get their eggs fed back to them, because the eggs that they produce actually depletes calcium from their bones, and it's very, very taxing on their bodies. And they actually, a lot of the sanctuaries will grab the eggs and they'll throw them on the ground, or they'll even cook them up for them and feed them back to the chickens. And the chickens love it. They eat it to replenish the nutrients that they're losing from producing the egg. Yeah, and that's all that stuff too. So, all right, no more questions. Nah, if one sneaks through, I'll get it. But yeah, this has been the Shit Vegan Show. Another day, another dollar. Settle for nothing. All right, thanks heaps. It's been another show. Shit Vegans. Hit us up on socials. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Get at it. Yuck, lol. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to play it. We'll play it on the show when you're on. All right, back to the track. My track. All right, I'm out. Peace. Shit Vegans.